Ladies and gentlemen, G. Bush, Mike Lucas, Mikey McNuggets, say what you want. It is time. We are here on a restream with some unfortunate news here. We found out earlier today that Myles Garrett was involved in a single car accident. The injuries are not extensively known. All we know at this time is police say they are non-life threatening. It appears Myles and the female passenger in the car will be okay. Details still very scarce, G. We do know alcohol was not a factor here. It appears Myles was driving home from practice, some bad weather hit, and then whatever happened. But alcohol was not a factor, according to police. They were wearing their seatbelts, so kudos to Myles and his passenger for that. But like we said, there are no extensive details on the injury itself. The severity of the injuries, all we know is they are non-life threatening. So I'll let you take it here, G. With the limited information we know, what do you make of this incident today for the Cleveland Browns and their star defensive end?
Well, first and foremost, I just caution people to, what I'm saying, speculation could be crazy, right? So, withhold judgment to, you can get all the information and all the facts. I'm pretty sure the Cleveland Browns are aware of his status and what types of injuries he's, sustained. So, that's the part of it that we just all like, you walk a fine line between giving your opinion and talking about different things that you don't really have all the facts for. So, for Myles Garrett, in terms of, him as a person, like, it's just like you just want to make sure, because when I saw the pictures, I was just like, oh man, this is, my heart sank, because it's like, wow, I know a lot of different people who didn't get up and walk away. They couldn't walk away from lesser crashes in terms of that. So I think it's great overall feeling to know that he's not seriously harmed, and the passenger of the car was not harmed as well. So that part is done, but we also have to talk about it from a perspective of what does this mean for football, and how does that affect how the Cleveland Browns move forward?
Yeah, I worked in news, and it's so hard to speculate on any of this stuff. We don't know the severity of the injuries. We don't know exactly what happened. I'm not confident or comfortable making any assumptions to what did or didn't happen. All we know is he suffered non-life-threatening injuries, and frankly, prayers up for Myles for a speedy recovery on whatever it is, whether it's a scrape to the knee, a broken bone somewhere. Prayers up to him and his passenger that they're going to be safe. And I'm sure in the coming days, hours, we'll find out exactly what happened. For now, we don't know. And anyone who's going to say, hey, these guys are being soft on Myles and whatever happened, I just don't feel comfortable speculating on something that I don't know the details of, especially when it's in this realm of situation. It's not on the football field. This is someone's life and their health and well-being. So if people want to say that we are taking the easy way out, G, by not saying what we think happened, then let them say what they want. But I just don't feel comfortable making assumptions when I don't have the necessary information. As for the football situation, though, Garrett, they're playing a pretty mobile quarterback this weekend in Marcus Mariota. Jadeveon Clowney did not practice today. He did not play against the Pittsburgh Steelers. His status for Sunday is still unknown. And without Myles Garrett on the field, we saw the Steelers double and triple team number 95 and say, everyone else, take your shot. We think we could block you straight up. So without those two, the Browns might have some issues getting pressure on the Falcons quarterback come Sunday.
Well, I think too, and that's the part that's kind of crazy, because if I was the Cleveland Browns, I would just already rule him out for the game. I wouldn't even leave
Clowney or Garrett.
I would Myles Garrett. I would not even if he said he could play, I would let him mentally and physically make sure he was in the right frame of mind and right space to go out and play football. Because what we've known of Myles Garrett is, if he's played the majority of his career with little nagging injuries, 1 year he played with almost, it's like tear in his groin. 1 year, he had other different ailments, hamstrings, different things like that, and he played through them. So when sometimes as an organization, you got to make sure that you can protect your players and let them know, like, look, hey, you can't, we're not going to put you in harm's way. We're going to make sure that you do exactly what you need to do. Because here's the thing. If he does come back or he does play, you already know what the game plan is, right? If you think that they're not going to be like, oh, well, we definitely is going to double team you and triple team you now if you wasn't before. It's nothing malicious, but that's just what the game plan is. So for me, I just hope that he, his inner circle, his structure in the Cleveland Browns make it be known that, look, we interested in you as a person long term. We worried about your health and safety, and we're not going to put you in harm's way. And we don't want to pressure you to feel like, oh, I got to come and save the day. I got to come in and just be that guy and make sure it's all on me. Because there is a burden with that C on your chest, because you feel like I got to go out there and prove it. There's no reason to try to prove that you're a tough guy. And that's the way that I think they should approach it, moving forward.
Yeah, and I see a couple of people in the chat saying, hey, just logged in. What happened? Just to fill everybody in, Myles Garrett was involved in a single car crash around 3 p.m. this afternoon. He was taken to the hospital. He had a female passenger in the car. Both are expected to be all right. They suffered non-life-threatening injuries, but that is the only details the police have given us. They did say alcohol was not involved in the accident, so that is out of the question, and that both Myles and his passenger were wearing a seatbelt. If you go on WKYC.com, you can see that some of the pictures from the crash. The car, Garrett's 2021 Porsche, got pretty messed up. I mean, there's some scary pictures, and for them both to walk out of there, we don't know the extent of the injuries, but they're non-life-threatening. So for them to get out of there without anything too serious is absolutely a blessing. And especially, you're a big dude. I mean, you're what, he's 6'5", 3 bills a little bit. Like,
yep.
That's not a big car. So when it starts rolling and, you can see in the pictures, there's dirt in the tires. It's not a lot of room for Myles to not moving around. You know what I'm saying? Like it's not a big car for Myles to have a lot of room to reverberate inside there. So we'll see what happens. I have no idea what the extent of the injuries are, but
yeah,
he's lucky. No matter what it is, he's lucky.
And I always think about it like this, from a perspective of Myles Garrett is like pretty much like a lot of people, even we talked about it before, he's so physically gifted. People just think like, he could do anything. Like, you've seen him do all these feats as far as jumping, basketballs and doing different things with a bunch of weight and just real athletic, just crazy God-given ability. But the one thing that you always remember and you're reminded of is your humanity, your mortality. When you're young and you playing, you never think anything could happen to you. You're just like, I'm just chilling. And the fact that he was just coming from practice, no alcohol, no drugs involved, had his seatbelt on, and it just happens. You never know when you're gonna be put in a situation where you thinking, if I was him, I would just be in the car thinking like, wow, is this it? Because you don't know the extent of my injuries. Like, you just waiting to see. Like, the first thing you think of is, am I going to be able to play? Am I going to be able to do what I do for love for a living? That's why I say it's so much of a blessing to be able to walk away from something like that. Yeah. Because there's people who, the Jason Williams stories come to mind. You're a basketball guy. Jay Will was one of the best basketball players in the world when he played for Duke. Athletic, jump out the gym. And, he just happened to have a freak accident on a motorcycle and it cost him just like that, So, Myles Garrett and his people, once again, prayers to them. And it's always good that you get a second chance at certain things, right? And I think he'll come back and use it with some newfound hunger, because he's going to say, bro, you don't know how I feel to had that car turnover and you don't know if you're going to be good coming out of there. So, that's something that I thought about when I saw the pictures.
Yeah. Now the extent of the injuries, we don't know. They were non-life threatening, but non-life threatening does not equal non-football threatening. So that is worth keeping in mind. We have no idea if it's a scrape, a sprained ankle, a broken wrist. Like, we have absolutely no idea what this is. Hopefully he can play on Sunday, G. If he doesn't, we'll see the likes of Alex Wright, Isaac Rochelle, some of these other young guys on the defensive line, Perrion Winfrey, get a chance to step up and play. And if Pittsburgh was any indication, none of them really made that much of an impact. So I know it's tough to focus on the football side of things when you're dealing with someone's livelihood and health, but for a second here, let's talk about Sunday. If it does come down to the fact that they don't have Myles Garrett, they don't have Jadeveon Clowney, how much confidence do you have in the rest of this Browns defense to get any pressure? And does that mean Joe Woods is going to have to get creative and dial up the blitzes in order to get to Mariota?
You hit the nail right on the head. In the event that Myles Garrett is not playing on Sunday, and I've already said if it was me, I'd rule him out. Period. We'll give you some time to digest, and we'll do whatever you need to do to get right back ready But I will say this. When you look at what Joe Woods is up against now, he's going to have pretty much one of his best games that he's going to call. Because you got guys like Chase Winovich, you got guys like Alex Wright, Isaiah Thomas, Perry, Winfrey, Taven Bryan, all these Jordan Elliott, these guys are going to have to actually step up. And you're not going to be able to depend on just saying, I'm just going to come with 4. I'm just going to have people do that. No, you have to get creative in terms of, maybe even, bringing safeties, maybe bringing corner blitzes, just being creative. And I think it's an opportunity for them to go off script. Joe Woods has a lot of his stuff already documented as to what he likes to run. Tyvis has talked about that. So now it's an opportunity that you can actually break tendency a little bit. You can actually come out there and be something totally you're not and give the Atlanta Falcons a different look. But you mentioned it, McNuggets. Marcus Mariota he may not be the greatest passer in the world, but the one thing he can do is use his legs and the read option. They're going to have to play assignment football. And on top of that, Cordell Patterson is second in the league in rushing behind Nick Chubb. It's crazy.
Wild. And this Falcons offense, man, you look at it. They started out strong against New Orleans in week 1. New Orleans has a good defense. Couldn't score late, but they scored some points. They came back strong against the Rams in the second half. They won this past week. They're 1-2 and ranked near the bottom of the league. But remember, the Jets ranked 32nd in the league in the power rankings when they came into Cleveland. This is not going to be a cakewalk by any means, and especially if Myles is out. I think we're going to see finally, or I hope to see, Joe Woods kind of peel back the playbook and say, listen, I can't get pressure with 4. We need to send guys and get creative to get pressure. Because I don't care if you're playing Joe Flacco. I don't care if you're playing Marcus Mariota, Justin Herbert, Patrick Mahomes. If those guys can sit in the pocket for 3-4 seconds, it doesn't matter if you got Deion Sanders, Jalen Ramsey, Rod Woodson, Charles Woodson. You have the Monstars back there. It doesn't matter. You can't cover for that long in today's day and age. So, yeah, it's going to have to be a combined effort, and we're going to see some heroics from guys that have to step up, and make plays on Sunday. Or else it could be a high-scoring game. And here's the reality, G. We came into this season thinking the Browns' offense would be their issue. Through 3 games, their offense has far exceeded everyone's expectations. Their defense has far underperformed. And now without their 2 best pass rushers, it's gonna and Anthony Walker's out. And Joker's kind of banged up.
And I don't expect JOK to play. Growings take more than a week to heal. That's another thing that you're going to actually have to take a look at. So, and then, by the way, TJ110 says Chase Winovich is on IR.
He's on. Yep. There's another guy. Yep.
So Chase Winovich, you name all those guys. You are actually going to have to play, in my opinion, you're going to have to play assignment football where you're counting on the total sum of the pieces and not just 1 or 2 guys, because they're going to have to use some smoke and mirrors. Because I'm not only worried about him in the pass game, I'm worried about him in the run game. If I'm playing the Cleveland Browns at this point, and there's no Myles Garrett, and there's no Jadeveon Clowney, and there's no backups that are coming in, and your middle linebacker is out, the play caller, the guy that gets everything set up,
linebacker,
and your best linebacker, I'm running the ball at them all day. They're gonna have to prove it and stop me, because it's just that there's too many people missing and backups are playing, and that's the gift and the curse about the NFL. We look at what happened to the Pittsburgh Steelers and how they do without how they actually do without TJ Watt. And we had a small sample size of what the Browns defense looked like when Myles Garrett was suspended for the Mason Rudolph stuff. It wasn't good. It was not good. And people that always talk about, this, that, and the third, how sometimes, Myles, we want him to give us more production. We want him to give us more. I don't think he's doing nothing. Well, you're going to have a great opportunity to see the difference between your defense with Myles Garrett and with guys that are down the liners, like my dad used to say.
Yeah, and just for anyone else who is just tuning in here, we don't have a ton of details. Myles Garrett was involved in a single car crash today around 3 p.m. In Medina County. I always say it wrong. Is it Medina or Medina? Which one is it?
Medina. Yeah.
Medina County. No life-threatening injuries, but outside of that, we do not know the extent of the injuries. Remember, life-threatening does not mean football-threatening, 2 very different definitions of injuries. He was in the car with a female passenger. They were both transported to the hospital, both expected to make full recoveries with whatever that injury is. No alcohol was involved. Police have said that. They were both wearing their seatbelt, but that's really all we know. If you go on WKYC.com, you can see the pictures of the car. Certainly worth checking out. They are pretty terrifying in any situation. So to see both Myles and the female passenger be okay, at least from an overall health standpoint, is pretty good. But Gee, when I look at this game here, first off, if you had told me Cordero Patterson be second in the league in rushing after 3 weeks, I would laugh. I'd be like, no. Especially after Jonathan Taylor ran for 164 in the opener, and he's got 88 yards the last 2 games combined. But this Falcons team, and this is a game I think the Browns kind of need to win. I mean, any game until Watson comes back that is winnable. And if Brissett keeps playing like this, then every game on the schedule is winnable. I think.
I'll say that.
I'm not confident, as good as he's played through 3 games. I'm not confident we are going to see this level of Brissett for the next 9 weeks, 8 weeks, whatever it is left. So anytime you have a favorable matchup on the schedule until Watson gets back, you have to look at it as a must-win, or really a can't-lose game for this Browns team. And it just makes it tougher. But you know what? That's the story of this Browns season. Nothing, and I'm new to Cleveland, and I feel like I'm learning on the fly here, but nothing comes easy to the Browns, does it, G? Nothing comes easy to this fan base and this team.
And I gotta say this. You know, people have already kind of started speculating and doing stuff like, we don't know if Myles Garrett was speeding. We don't know what the conditions were. We don't know. I think sometimes
Hey, real quick, not to cut you off, but our director, Steve, does say he looked at the radar. It was raining pretty heavy in the area at the time, according to Steve, our director. So it was a backcountry road with
2 lanes.
Yeah, 2 lanes.
And I think sometimes your mind can go, think the worst. Like you hear 2021 Porsche. So the mostly you think, oh man, he had to be going 110. He had to be doing, being reckless. But that's not the case. There's people that lose control of their car with in basic conditions that's dry. You know what I'm saying? You just at the end of the day. So I just want to make sure that Browns fans don't start speculating and being like, because we have a tendency to put 2 and 2 together. Like, we'll say, oh, well, he made the comment about the fans, and now the next week he's in this car accident, and you start building this narrative that is not necessarily true. Like, we don't know what exactly happened. So for me, all I'm saying is, look, hey, man, a person could have lost their life. They could have died. So even if you don't play the rest of the year, I could care less. I mean, it would be bad for the Cleveland Browns, but I'm more concerned about people as human beings, as people, than figuring out if we can get a pass rush on Marcus Mariota.
No, that's what I said. It's an uncomfortable situation to be in right now, just to even speculate on what happened. That's why I left news, frankly. I had to pull back the curtain real quick. I was doing news, and there was a story. I don't even know if anyone cares about this, but I'll tell you real quick anyway, G. A kid was speeding, crashed his car. He passed away, and my news director's like, go knock on the door and ask his parents for a comment. And I was like, no, I'm not doing that. And then I came back. He's like, well, you're suspended for a week. I said, all right, I'm not doing news anymore. I have no interest in asking a grieving parent for a comment.
That's crazy.
I switched to sports. Yeah, I had no interest in doing that. So I switched to sports, and it's just until the information's out, then we'll speculate on what happened, or we'll break down what happened and whether Myles was in the right or wrong. Until then, I just don't feel comfortable talking about what did or did happen. All we know is he is going to survive, which at the end of the day is the most important thing, him and his passenger. G, I got one more football point than anything else you want to get out is you, but we talked coming into the season. This Browns secondary we thought might be the best in the league with Denzel Ward, Greg Newsome, Martin Emerson, John Johnson, Grant Delpit. If they're not getting a pass rush, it's going to come down to the secondary to man up, lock up, and figure out how to shut down this Falcons passing attack. Do you think they're capable of that after what you've seen through 3 games?
Sure. What I've seen is guys not really executing, right? Missed assignments, mental errors, the thing between your ears. That's what I see in terms of why they've been struggling athletically or physically or just on raw ability and talent. Of course they can. It just comes down to a point where you could put it all together and you could make, everybody be a cohesive unit. And I think they got enough talented guys back there, like Denzel Ward, who has been a little bit maligned lately due to, his slow start this season. But he has the ability, like in the case of Cincinnati last year, where the Bengals were rolling. Jamar Chase was just getting 100 after 100-yard game. And then, Denzel Ward gets that pick six on the goal line. And then now everything's rolling. And then, Greg Newsome is now feeding off that. Now he has 3 or 4 passes deflected and defended, right? So, everybody feeds off that, and they got enough talent to do that. Everybody's got to just pick up the slack. That's just what it is. When you're missing one of your best players, you need now turnovers. You need guys to make plays. You need guys to have his back so you can keep afloat, because you said it. This is the whole point. The key is the Cleveland Browns have to win certain games in order to get to the end of the season and be in contention. And they've already lost one of them games, right? Yeah. So if you lose the Jets game, you got to pick up one somewhere else. Are you going to beat the Chargers? You going to beat the Buccaneers? Well, you're going to beat the Patriots? You got to be able to figure out where you're going to make that game up at. So to me, I think this is a game you have to go in. And I'm going to say it. If they can come out of there and get a win without all the people we named, I think you'll start to see people start to say, this is why Kevin Stefanski looked the way he did and won Coach of the Year, because now he's getting the most out of his guys. He don't even have his top players.
I see someone in the chat saying that Myles lives in that area. When I did that story, G, the one that I got suspended for because I want to talk to, I did talk to a state trooper who said, I think the number was 60, but it was 60% of accidents happen within 5 miles of the people's home, because they feel so comfortable on those roads that they push the limit a little bit. And sometimes that's what leads to whatever mechanical or whatever driving issue goes around. Like I said, I don't know what happened in this case. I just thought of one thing as you were saying that, G, then I'll let you wrap this up.
Okay.
If I'm the Falcons and Clowney and Garrett aren't playing, the whole playbook's open. I'm thinking you might see some trick plays. You might see some double flea flickers. They're going to have time in the pocket to do play action, shot. Like, we're going to see whatever Arthur Smith has in the bag that he's been saving for a team that he may be able to have the time to do. I would expect at least 2 or 3 trick plays on Sunday against the Falcons.
Yeah, and they got guys. Kyle Pitts is one of the biggest mismatches at tight end. You got a tight end that runs a 4.4.
If they throw it to him.
If they throw it to him, right?
My fantasy team knows that.
Right.
Doesn't always happen.
I had him last year, and I'm like, man, why are they is he not aware? Just spoon feed him, force feed him the ball. Like, you drafting a tight end in the top 10, he getting the ball every day. Like, just regardless. I think Drake London has been one of the better surprising rookies. I think if you look at the rookie class, he's probably the best one that we've seen. Now, Chris Olave did have a great game.
Garrett Wilson looks good too, though, G.
Garrett Wilson gave us that smoke too. So I think it just goes to show you how good that recruiting class was, that receiving class out of the draft, because people talked about it was transcended. They got all these guys. But, yeah, I think the Falcons are now looking at this game just like we kind of look at other games. They're looking at this as a winnable game, right? So if you're the Falcons, you say, so they got a backup quarterback. They star defensive end. All their linebackers is pretty much gone. Yeah, they starting ends are gone. I'm feeling confident about this game, to me.
Yeah, well, we look at the Falcons as a game that the Browns should win. I'm sure the Falcons fans are looking at the game against the Browns as a game they should win. Make sure y'all tune into the Ultimate Cleveland Sports Show Monday through Friday, 11 to 1. We're going to break this down tomorrow with the full cast and panel. Hopefully we have more information to give you guys some more clarity on what happened. Just one more reminder, a single car crash involving Myles Garrett happened around 3 p.m. today. The woman in the vehicle and Garrett were able to walk out with non-life-threatening injuries. What the extent of those injuries are outside of that, we don't know. We do know alcohol was not involved. You can check out the pictures of the crash on WKYC.com. G. Bush, tomorrow, hopefully we got some more information and we can make some better judgments on what did or didn't happen. Until then, we will hope and pray for a speedy recovery for Myles.
So here's what we do, man. Hit that like button. Hit that like button in here. Make sure you like that, man. Make sure, if you're new to the channel, make sure you subscribe. And one of the things, and I just want to preface this and give you guys a behind the scenes look at how we think about this. the things that we do, this is more of a thing that we're setting up where you can get instant reaction, right? So when something happens and it is newsworthy, anything, this doesn't have to be necessarily a football story, but when you get something like this, like Myles Garrett, who got into a car accident, and you want to get the information, you could just pull up right here. It'll come up, you log on, you hit that notification bell. So it's just not these type of stories with Myles Garrett. It could be about the Guardians. It could be about the Cavs. It could be a lot of different things, big trades, all that stuff we do. We're trying to strive to have instant reaction. So by the time you get to breaking it down tomorrow morning on the morning shows or wherever you're at, you've already said, well, I kind of already knew what it was because I was on Ultimate Cleveland Sports Show and they was breaking it down almost simultaneously. So that's what we just trying to do. And we might not have all the information about exactly what Myles Garrett is up to, but a lot of people may be at work. A lot of people may be doing jobs and really never knew. A couple of people in the chat said that I didn't even know that. So that's what we just trying to do. And we appreciate you guys' support.
We'll see you guys in the Ultimate Cleveland Sports Show tomorrow, 11 a.m. for G. Bush. I'm Mike Lucas. We'll see you guys tomorrow.